In the deepest reaches of planet 4546b, near the containment facility for the Sea Emperor, you will see infected creatures of all types and variety. However, one of those creatures that you do not see infected by the Kharaa bacterium is the sea dragon. I have never seen the sea dragon in an infected state. In previous versions of the game, the sea dragon was infectable. Actually, it is proven that the developers had worked on having this thing infected with the Kharaa. There are two different types, the old version and the new version. However, both seem to be scrapped in play of the normal sea dragon in its full glory. Our question is, why can the sea dragon not be infected, or why does it not show signs of infection? In my attempt to infect the sea dragon, it unfortunately got scared and decided to hide under the map. Not even kidding, this just happened. I've attempted to infect other creatures and clearly I was able to, but when it comes to the sea dragon doesn't even register as an infectable entity within the game. All other creatures that I come in contact with can and have been infected through the use of an admin command. My question is the sea dragon immune, and is this working as intended, or is something not correctly working? In order to find the answer, we have to dive into the history of the Kharaa bacterium to see if there is a relevant chance the sea dragon just will not show signs, or other Leviathan class creatures. Kharaa is an alien bacterium discovered by the precursor race during the exploration of an unknown planet. It seems to have completely taken over planet 4546b. It is described in the Degasi PSA as part of the ecosystem, with further suggestions that the Degasi survivors were infected at some point, as stated by Bart Torgal, while discussing the flu-like symptoms the crew was experiencing. Early on, the player's PDA and life pod will make note of high levels of bacterium infection in the water. I just want to make a mention here that months and months and months ago, this storyline lore was changed. Before, it was the precursors created this virus, and now it has changed to they found it. It is stated in precursor data that the Kharaa bacterium has killed over 143 billion individuals over the course of time since its discovery. It is possible this is not the true death count, as the PDA entry only lists these as confirmed deaths, which would imply further dead beyond what is known. Their core worlds were quarantined off, and research facilities such as the one on 4546b were created to find a cure. After a sea dragon Leviathan damaged the diseased research facility in an attempt to retrieve its offspring, the previously contained Kharaa bacterium was released onto the planet. This decimated the planet's ecosystem as much of the life on the planet died due to the bacterium's behavior and genetic corruption. This prompted the precursors to initiate their emergency quarantine, activating the quarantine enforcement platform. The quarantine enforcement platform shoots down all approaching or departing spacecraft to prevent Kharaa from being spread to other planets. Let's touch base on something for a moment, because I know some people are already thinking this. The sea dragon is not infected in the world that we see out here, for the simple fact it is so close to the Sea Emperor's containment facility. I'm sure there's lots of enzyme going around over here, right? Well, unfortunately, it's all contained. While it may have some effect to the immunity it appears the sea dragon has received, it is not entirely possible that the sea dragon is immune thanks to the Sea Emperor's close proximity, because the Sea Emperor does not produce enough of the enzyme required to help cure its host. The PDA estimates that Kharaa incubates for 2 weeks and kills in 5 weeks. It accomplishes this by shutting down the immune system, already making the infected host susceptible to other diseases and causing genetic mutations to the host DNA. and causing alterations to the body structure, eventually leading to total shutdown of the organs due to its inability to keep function properly. Warpers were created to keep the levels of the Kharaa bacterium to a minimum. To do so, they will attempt to kill any infected fauna in an effort to control the spread of the bacterium. This, however, seems to have been ineffective, as Kharaa is still ravaging the planet a little under 1,000 years after it was initially released. Riley is infected with Kharaa, though he only becomes aware of it after attempting to disable the quarantine enforcement platform, as the deactivation terminal will tell him that he is infected and therefore cannot use it, thus forcing Riley to secure a cure in order to leave the planet. The infection only becomes noticeable when Riley reaches the disease research facility and is prompted by the PDA to perform a self-scan. At this point, it will warn him that the infection is reaching a critical stage, and his skin breaks out into glowing green cysts. This has happened to Medical Officer Danby in LifePod 12. However, unlike Riley, Danby developed visible signs of infection within 3 hours. The reason for this is unknown, although the infection rate most likely varies depending on the individual. The Degasi survivors were also infected at one point. Bart Torgal attempted to find out what it was, though he was unsuccessful, as Margaret continually brought specimens for him to study near death or injected them with transfuser serums, making them unreliable test subjects. However, he was able to deduce that every organism was infected, as well as taking precautions to ensure the Degasi crew's survival. However, upon the destruction of the Deep Grand Reef base, Bart fled to the safe shallows and began noting the details of Kharaa on him, and eventually flees to the floating islands, where he makes his final log and most likely succumbs to the bacterium.
The visions are getting worse. Marguerite and Father are now part of the ecosystem of this incredible planet.
Just as a note, if an infected creature is placed inside an aquarium or alien containment, the creature will infect the rest of the creatures inside soon after. However, this is purely cosmetic and has no impact on gameplay. The player can scan fauna that have been previously scanned to check if they are infected with Kharaa. When scanned, a creature can be identified as infected or not by the screen on the scanner saying normal or infected. The player can also scan themselves to monitor the bacterium's progression in their body. It seems the only way to cure the Kharaa bacterium is with enzyme 42, produced by the Sea Emperor Leviathan and its young, as shall be shown by creatures being cured by the enzyme in the Sea Emperor's aquarium. Peepers have been seen utilizing alien vents to take small amounts of the enzyme back to the surface, spreading the enzyme's effects through the world. This method is the sole reason why some life has managed to remain immune, and possibly why the player may survive longer than 5 weeks after infection. The Sea Emperor Leviathan and the Warpers are immune to the Kharaa bacterium, as they both play a role in eliminating it, with the Sea Emperor Leviathan producing enzyme 42 as a countermeasure, and the Warper being the result of its biomechanical adaptations implemented by the precursors. Unfortunately, none of this really answers the question why the sea dragon has not been infected by the Kharaa bacterium. And that's unfortunate. However, I did reach out to a developer about the subject, and it may actually be a bug. You see, nothing is immune as stated in the Kharaa's lore and history, except for maybe the Emperor itself and its young. The problem with all of this is we never see an infected sea dragon in the game world. It's unfortunate, but at the same time, it's also understandable if this is just a bug, because there would be a clear indication if this thing was supposed to be a infectionless creature. I think this is just a bug within the game, ultimately. However, now you have a full understanding of the Kharaa bacterium, and we did answer a question about the sea dragon and why we never see it in its infected state anymore. There is some trivia, however, that you guys will be interested to know, and that is the Kharaa has been confirmed, as I've said in previous videos, but for those of you who haven't paid attention, you're going to learn again. The Kharaa has been confirmed by developers as changed. And what do I mean by that? Well, they changed the name of it. You see, in previous videos, I still get comments about this too, and it's annoying. In previous videos, I named it, I spelled it as C-A-R-A-R, because Kharaa. That's how it was spelled in all the PDA logs, unfortunately. And then they changed it to actually try and match the Kharaa in natural selection, K-H-A-R-A-A. So there you go. Also, I have some information about the Sea Dragon and the Arctic DLC I got from a developer. I'm going to get into that in a second. It doesn't completely discredit it from the DLC, actually, which is kind of interesting. Something you guys may not know is, in Mongolian, Kharaa means curse or to curse, which ties some connections to the game, as we've seen human artifacts in the past as well. In the Precursors Alien Containment Facility, actually, there's an ancient sword and some other stuff mentioning a Mongolian empire and stuff. Now, there's also some information on the Kharaa and why you don't really see it around on the player. It's because usually it's only the hands of the player that you see. And right now we have gloves on, but for the reveal, we take our gloves off. We take a look at it, basically. And then obviously, as I mentioned previously in the video, in the original script, the bacterium was created by the Precursors. Now, enough about that. Enough about everything about the Kharaa and the, I guess, Sea Dragon. We've established that it may be a bug, but they can't really decide. Like it stated, he can't remember if they decided on whether or not the Sea Dragon could be infected or not. And I feel like that's something that would be, like, there's very few creatures that can be infected or not infected in Subnautica. The Sea Emperor being the one that's most notable. I don't see why the Sea Dragon couldn't be infected, unfortunately, and that's... I mean, that's common sense. Anything can be infected. It says so in the PDA, but maybe they had at some point the idea to make it so it could not be infected for whatever reason, and it just didn't produce the enzyme. It makes sense then, because not everything has to produce an enzyme that stops the Kharaa virus. I think about it. Like, some cancer patients survive, some don't, unfortunately, and it kind of sucks. And that's a horrible analogy, actually, but you get the idea. Like, a creature that's immune doesn't have to produce a cure. That's what I'm saying. Now, an interesting piece of information you guys might want to know is that I asked about the Sea Dragon and if a more infected form would be present in the Arctic DLC / biome / whatever you want to call it. And there's actually no decision made on that. It's in the air. They could and they might not. It's good news for me because it means that they haven't outright said no. They haven't decided to say no Sea Dragon in the Arctic DLC, no Sea Dragon in any parts of it. It's a possibility, and on top of that, the possibility is there for it to oxygen. The possibility is there for it to actually be in the DLC and play a role at some point. The Sea Dragon is such an iconic creature that I feel like it should almost be in the DLC, but the problem is they'd need to make a lava zone for it, because we know the Sea Dragon itself thrives in a hot environment, and it eats the lava so it can spew out the lava, and it actually, I think it's something about its armor or something too, like it creates armor for its body through the use of magma or like solidified lava or something like that. Basically magma. That's from what I understand of it. Also keep in mind that anything can be changed at any point in time, especially when it comes to the Kharaa and storyline. As we've seen in the past, they've recently changed many things to do with it. Primarily, the spelling of it, which completely ties it to another game universe now that was not otherwise tied into the game as effectively or as strong. Now we know everything runs canon with natural selection, and it makes me wonder if natural selection will receive an update or if I should check out natural selection now for anything hidden that might be Subnautica related. That's the thing about it. When you tie in games like this, you get a whole host of new information, and you get a whole host of new teasers and surprises and Easter eggs. That's the big thing about it. Something I also want to clear up real quick with you guys is a DM I got on Discord, and I've seen some other Discords speaking about a creature that surfaced recently. It's this thing right here. And unfortunately, this is not a concept for Subnautica, like some people were thinking. I wish I knew where people were getting these images of, like, awesome-looking creatures that, you know, they think tie into Subnautica. I think somewhere, maybe on the Amino app or some other source, there is false information being intentionally spread around. I don't know where it is. I'm trying to look into it, and Jesus Christ! Oh my God! That thing just molested me out of nowhere. You don't get to do that, good sir. No damage. Holy crap, that thing's straight up. God damn, freaking thing just came out of nowhere and it sucked me in. It gave me the great suck of 69 again. Not okay. My God. So yeah, I think somewhere around in the community, or a community, there is, it's just false information, or maybe a troll or a group of trolls are sending out these screenshots and like, hey, check out this cool beast, it's gonna be in Subnautica, and then it gets back to me because people are like, hey, can you confirm or deny? And then I have to say it here so it doesn't get out massively and like, oh my God, new creature. It kind of sucks. Like, I love the idea of it, don't get me wrong, I love the idea of these new creatures, but we'll know from the Subnautica developers directly if anything's gonna happen with the game or if any new creatures have been actually revealed. So please just remember that everything you see may not actually be Subnautica related, unfortunately. And the last thing I want to touch up on is this guy right here, the shark, the squid shark thing, whatever. Apparently, from what I understand, I read some comments on my video, this thing from a lot of people is not a Leviathan class creature, or it may not be. And that's kind of unfortunate in my mind. I see it as a Leviathan, I see it as potential for a Leviathan, but it's still, like, I want it to be a Leviathan. Does that help? See, from what I understand, this thing is supposed to be about the size of a bone shark, and it is aggressive in nature as a predator. Now, on top of it, while this may not be a Leviathan-class creature, fortunately, they probably will have maybe an Arctic Reaper or some kind of crazy Reaper-class creature that they want to bring into the game. So that's a bonus. I want to clear that up about it because, I kind of messed up a little bit. I thought it could have been a Reaper, and its size kind of looks like it would be a Leviathan-class creature, but unfortunately, well, it's not, and it probably won't be. However, it is subject to change, so maybe at some point in time, they will change it. I just want to bring up the Ghost Leviathan real quick because it does seem like this thing has either Ghost Ray or Ghost Leviathan-like appendages. And I had a DM a while ago that maybe these perform a sensory function or something like that, or they may be used for another type of function. Maybe that's why this creature has those weird tentacles, because like that's a very unique trait to have on the creature itself. Remember, it's reminiscent of the Ghost Ray, I think, and the Ghost Leviathan. I don't know what to make of it. Maybe it's just for aesthetics. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section down below. That is it. You guys can go. You can leave. I'm done, I swear. And I'll see you in the next video.